Pei-Su acquired an advanced military-industrial system, and on the eve of the college entrance examination, he heard a familiar voice. Detected that someone is researching the concept of the 7th-generation aircraft, automatically acquiring the concept of the 8th generation. Coincidentally, this year's examination reform included an essay topic. If you were to develop a 7th-generation aircraft, how would you proceed? Gazing at the essay prompt, Pei-Su snorted in disdain and waved his hand dismissively. The so-called launch of the 1st generation, concealment of the 2nd, and research of the 3rd. In my opinion, rather than researching the 7th generation, it would be more prudent to directly pursue the 8th generation. The parameters of the 8th generation aircraft flowed from his pen, astonishing the experts at the Dragon Science Institute. The examiner remarked, "A high school student has released the parameters for the 8th generation. This seems rather improbable." However, upon verification, the parameters proved to be feasible. Armed with an advanced military-industrial system, Pei-Su stood at the forefront of innovation, his military products destined to be cutting-edge, surpassing global standards. A military general inquired, "Wait a moment, could you enlighten me about this 5th-generation military vehicle equipped with a rocket engine?" A senior official from the satellite agency interjected, "Are you implying that your new generation of aircraft can reach Alpha Centauri in one flight?" A researcher in nuclear weapons chimed in, "Do you mean to say you can develop a planet-scale hydrogen bomb?" Pei-Su nodded, "Indeed, that is correct." Thus began the legend, ignited by the revelation of the 8th-generation aircraft's parameters during the college entrance examination. Chapter 1. I have a friend. Little Pei, while the college entrance examination is imminent, do not succumb to pressure. Such exams can pave the way to a brighter future at a reputable university. But even if you do not succeed, it will not hinder a promising future. In a parallel world, Uncle Li Yong earnestly conveyed these words to Pei-Su at the Dragon Science Institute. Pei-Su nodded, "Thank you for your concern, Uncle." His academic performance was not particularly outstanding, yet his family held him dear. Understanding that he was not focused on his studies, Uncle Li had invited him to the institute during the summer to experience its culture and occasionally interact with the intellectuals there. "All right, entertain yourself. I have matters to attend to." Uncle Li's phone had been incessantly ringing for the past half hour. After a brief conversation, he hurried off to a meeting. Pei-Su, following his uncle's departing figure, noticed a blackboard positioned at the entrance of the meeting room. On the blackboard, a chalk-written question loomed large. How can we achieve faster, farther, higher, and more stealthy aircraft without advancements in materials science? A significant question mark dominated nearly half of the board. Pei-Su glanced at it. Detected keywords, acquiring advanced military-industrial system. Detected that someone is currently researching the concept of the 7th-generation aircraft. Triggering advanced military-industrial system. Automatically comprehending the concept of the 8th generation. Suddenly, a torrent of information surged into Pei-Su's mind. An advanced military-industrial system? As Pei-Su organized the information in his mind, he couldn't help but gasp in astonishment. The information swirling in his thoughts was the concept of the 8th generation. What is the 8th generation? To put it simply, it embodies faster, farther, higher, and more stealthy. However, while the theory is well known, the direction for implementation remains unclear. This is where a detailed concept of the 8th generation becomes crucial. Any research must begin with a clear concept before one can attempt to realize it. The birth of such concepts often demands an extraordinary degree of imagination. This is why, in many cases, even with significant advancements in materials science, new generations of military weapons fail to emerge. Before a new generation of military weaponry can be conceived, dozens, if not hundreds, of highly specialized scientists must first be assembled to unleash their imaginative potential, generating a plethora of ideas. From the myriad of fantastical notions, one must identify a viable concept. Yet now, the concept of the 8th generation, which would typically require countless trials and several years of experimentation, had manifested effortlessly within Pei-Su's mind. He stared at the words on the blackboard, surveying his surroundings. Just then, individuals began to exit the meeting room, including Uncle Li Yong. "Uncle," Pei-Su pointed at the blackboard, "should this be erased?" Li Yong glanced at the blackboard, shaking his head. "No need to erase it. Let us go eat instead." "All right." In the cafeteria, new hamburgers were on the menu. Occasionally indulging in foreign cuisine was a welcome change from home-cooked meals. Li Yong sighed, posing a question. "Little Su, do you know what the world lacks the most?" "What is it?" he asked. Li Yong replied softly, "Imagination." "Of course, I refer to the kind of imagination that emerges from a realistic foundation. Like when the United States and the Soviet Union competed in scientific research. The United States successfully sent humans to the moon, decisively outpacing the Soviets in that domain. Yet, the notion of landing on the moon, even in retrospect, is astonishing. Utilizing humanity's current technological limits to achieve the utmost possibilities. This is what I mean by imagination." As he spoke, Li Yong suddenly appeared fatigued. He had been attending meetings for a week straight. Each day, discussions revolved around the ultimate capabilities of aircraft. Since the advent of the 6th generation aircraft, discussions regarding the concept of the seventh generation had accelerated. They found themselves in a situation reminiscent of the Soviets during their technological race with the United States, desperately striving to unleash their own imagination. However, each instance of imagination required time for validation. The seventh generation. We merely seek to deduce a legitimate path toward the seventh generation. Li Yong lowered his voice deliberately. We have attempted over 120 times. Each attempt has ended in failure. In an era where materials science had not progressed, it was exceedingly challenging to develop the seventh generation based on the sixth. It was an arduous endeavor that necessitated a uniquely innovative approach. Pei Su pondered for a moment and quietly stated, "Uncle, I have an idea." Li Yong smiled. "Do share, future great scientist." Thereafter, Li Yong witnessed the most astonishing scene. At the dining table, Pei Su unearthed a box of uneaten chicken nuggets, totaling 5 pieces. I wish to hypothesize that these 5 chicken nuggets represent the current limits of human military aviation. Each nugget corresponds to the limit of the engine, the limit of the airframe materials, the limit of stealth paint, the limit of chemical fuel, and the limit of the flight system. If materials science cannot progress, it implies these 5 nuggets cannot advance either, correct, Uncle? Upon hearing this, Li Yong couldn't help but find it amusing. Could 5 chicken nuggets symbolize humanity's limits in aviation? He chuckled. Indeed. That is precisely the case. Now what if? Pei Su contemplated for a moment, gradually placing a packet of ketchup atop the nuggets. What if we incorporate an AI component? Li Yong's expression shifted to one of contemplation. The smile on his face gradually faded. Continue. Perhaps he had underestimated his nephew. Without prior knowledge of any information, this young man had, through sheer imagination, identified a crucial piece of the puzzle, AI. Indeed, the future of aviation would undoubtedly lean toward AI-driven technology. This was indisputable. However, Li Yong found it difficult to believe that such insights could come from a high school student on the brink of taking the college entrance examination. His expression grew serious, eager to hear what Pei Su would say next. AI is not merely an automatic flight system, she began. It is an amalgamation of the engine system, temperature control system, navigation system, communication system, automatic flight system, instrument system, APU, power control system, fire prevention system, anti-icing system, and lighting system. AI piloting. Much like a vehicle. Li Yong's demeanor intensified. Please, continue. Pei Su picked up a piece of plain chicken and gently placed it over several chicken nuggets. In truth, based on my assessment, even the most skilled pilots would find flying a 5th-generation aircraft to be an arduous task. And if it were a 6th-generation aircraft, even ace pilots would struggle to unleash the aircraft's full potential. Thus, we can entirely rely on AI to take the primary piloting role, allowing pilots to assume a supportive capacity, thereby enabling the aircraft to achieve its utmost performance. The foundation of the next generation of aircraft must be pure AI piloting. At this point, Li Yong was genuinely serious. He quietly inquired, "What do you believe can be improved in the aviation sector at present?" Pei Su answered without hesitation. Under the implementation of AI piloting, we should develop pseudo-spacecraft. A pseudo-spacecraft is an aircraft capable of briefly appearing in outer space. Space warfare is the 4th form of combat, following land, air, and naval warfare, and it is the future. The development of space combat aircraft will undoubtedly become the mainstream focus of nations. Boom. It felt as if a lightning bolt had exploded deep within Li Yong's heart. This exchange with his soon-to-be college entrance examination nephew had profoundly shocked him. He lowered his gaze to the 5 chicken nuggets, a packet of ketchup, and the piece of plain chicken atop them. AI piloting, space combat aircraft, space warfare. Could a high school student truly articulate such concepts? To be honest, if it weren't for his nephew's consistently imaginative nature, Li Yong would have doubted whether he had been possessed. Yet at that moment, he had one pressing question he needed to pose to his nephew. "Little Pei, I have a question for you." Pei Su smiled, looking at his uncle. Li Yong felt a bit awkward, clearing his throat. "Of course, this isn't about me. It's about a friend of mine. My friend is quite remarkable. He has been tasked by the state to, at all costs, develop a new generation of fighter aircraft within 5 years. For this, the government has provided funding with no limits. Moreover, my friend oversees more than 70 researchers and over 400 military industry experts. Yet currently, my friend has no leads. If you were faced with such a scenario, what direction would you take for the development of this new generation of fighter aircraft?" Chapter 2. This is what my nephew told me. Would you believe it? Regarding the question posed by his uncle, Pei Su cautiously inquired, "Uncle, let me be candid with you. Is this friend of yours actually yourself?" Li Yong felt a flush of embarrassment and replied, "Let's not dwell on inconsequential matters. Please share your insights." Pei Su fell into deep contemplation. After a prolonged silence, he slowly articulated, "Multipurpose, space warfare, intelligent interconnected space stations, 30-degree sharp turns, next-generation AI big data, automated and non-automated stealth systems." 6 phrases, akin to a mantra. Yet from Li Yong's perspective, he felt a profound sense of awe. He comprehended the meaning behind each term Pei Su uttered. However, When these 6 terms coalesced, he experienced an overwhelming incredulity. It was like assembling a jigsaw puzzle. When combined, these 6 pieces formed a new era of fighter aircraft. Suddenly, Li Yong sprang to his feet, hastily wiping the grease from his hands with a napkin. "Little Sue, I won't be driving you back today. You can return on your own. I have matters to attend to. Oh, before I forget." He turned back to Pei Su and gave him a thumbs up, "Wishing you the best of luck on your entrance exam tomorrow." Pei Su nodded. Thus, they parted ways. The following day, Pei Su took part in the entrance examination. After glancing at the messages on his phone, he hailed a cab. "Hey there, are you off to the entrance exam?" The driver was quite friendly. "Wishing you great success. My daughter is also taking the exam today, so I won't charge you." Upon hearing this, Pei Su felt a warm surge in his heart. "Thank you, uncle. No problem at all. Wishing you smooth sailing, young man." As Pei Su entered the examination hall, the first test was the Chinese language exam. Meanwhile, on the other side, Li Yong convened a meeting with everyone. "Old Li, we've been in meetings for a week now. Didn't we clarify everything yesterday?" Wang Jiang sighed. "As it stands, we have no inkling regarding the so-called 7th-generation aircraft. Without advancements in materials science, we cannot develop a 7th-generation aircraft." Wang Jiang was an academician in the military industry sector of the Lonka Institute, on par with Li Yong. His credentials were impressive. He had previously overseen the projects for both the 4th and 5th generation main battle aircraft. In truth, the 7th generation aircraft project was initially assigned to Wang Jiang. However, due to his pessimistic outlook on the project, it ultimately fell into Li Yong's hands. "Old Wang, let's not be pessimistic." Li Yong cast him a glance. "Currently, our task is merely to conceptualize the 7th generation aircraft. Everyone can unleash their imagination. Our work now is to sift through these countless imaginings to uncover tangible solutions that can materialize into reality." Wang Jiang shook his head at this. Before the numerous scholars present, he candidly and objectively described the current predicament. "Old Li, as the project leader, you should be aware of one crucial fact. That is, the realization of imagination equally requires the support of materials science." As he spoke, Wang Jiang raised a finger. In the millennium, when people envisioned technology beyond the 2000s, they often depicted fantastical futures. Flying cars, skyscrapers, compact household solar panels. One after another, these visions of the future are whimsical and ungrounded. Yet they are children, they are students, they are not professionals, so they can dream of the future. As scientists, we must delve into whether each imagination is supported by the realities of our time. The realization of imagination requires the backing of materials science. Just like skyscrapers, while current building materials can support their construction, environmental factors lead to their rarity. Similarly, flying cars could be constructed with available materials, but the cost-effectiveness of building one is significantly low. A flying car would cost more than a conventional aircraft. All whimsical imaginings necessitate the support of materials science to become a reality. Li Yong frowned. "Old Wang, what exactly are you trying to convey?" Upon hearing this, Wang Jiang sighed. "What I wish to express is quite simple. Without advancements in materials, constructing a 7th-generation aircraft is equivalent to an impossibility. Our meetings here are merely a waste of time." As soon as he finished speaking, a loud clap echoed. Li Yong's palm slammed against the table as he rose to his feet, exclaiming, "Old Wang, do you comprehend what you are saying?" Wang Jiang, seated with an unwavering demeanor, nodded. "I understand. Even proposing the concept of a 7th-generation fighter necessitates countless verifications. Because we are scholars, we are scientists. Our imagination must be grounded, capable of yielding tangible results. But the materials are limited. If you wish to create a 7th-generation fighter, the materials for the airframe must keep pace, yet they do not. Your engine scale must increase, but the current engine is already at its limit. Your stealth paint must advance, yet the paint used for 6th-generation fighters has reached its peak. As for those model aircraft and concept designs, they remain unviable." The others silently observed the duel between the two titans. In truth, most stood on Wang Jiang's side. Each individual here was an elite in research, an expert in the vast domain of military aviation. Thus, they understood well that even merely proposing the concept of a 7th-generation fighter was an exceedingly arduous task. "Heh," Li Yong chuckled softly and resumed his seat. "Indeed, I once thought similarly. Without materials, even merely proposing the concept of a 7th-generation fighter is a formidable challenge. Flying farther, higher, faster, and more stealthily. Who does not recognize that these are the benchmarks for a 7th-generation fighter? Yet, standards do not equate to concepts. A concept embodies specific information." He spread his hands, caressing the calluses on his fingertips, a habitual gesture. "However, a friend imparted to me an exceptionally significant concept." Wang Jiang regarded Li Yong, his expression unchanged, until Li Yong softly articulated a crucial phrase. "Multi-role, space warfare, intelligent connected space station, 30-degree sharp turns, next-generation AI big data, automated and non-automated stealth systems." These 6 terms caused Wang Jiang to spring to his feet, his eyes wide with astonishment. Others exhibited various reactions. Wang Jiang furrowed his brow, lost in contemplation. Li Yong continued to elucidate these 6 terms. Multi-role simply means the ability to operate in diverse environments, executing extreme missions. Space warfare signifies that our next-generation fighters, and even subsequent iterations, must evolve towards the realm of space. The Intelligent Connected Space Station indicates that our new generation of fighters will no longer easily land on Earth, but will instead dock at space stations for maintenance and repairs. 30-degree sharp turns denote that this generation of fighters can execute sharp turns in space through an internal gravity system, achieving greater agility than its predecessor. The next generation AI big data implies that AI-driven piloting will allow human pilots to leverage the aircraft's maximum performance. Automated and non-automated stealth systems refer to a new type of stealth system integrated with AI piloting, utilizing AI's superior response speed for more precise stealth capabilities. With a sudden realization, Wang Jiang exclaimed, "How did you conceive these 6 terms?" Li Yong replied softly, "They were not my own thoughts, they were shared with me by a friend." Indeed, from the perspective of an ordinary person, the significance of these 6 terms might not be readily apparent. Yet, from Wang Jiang's viewpoint, he glimpsed an entirely new future. Modern fighter aircraft are not merely constrained by materials science. More critically, human cognition has failed to keep pace with the evolution of aircraft. During the unveiling of the 5th-generation fighter, the first group of test pilots consisted of the nation's most elite aviators. It took them decades to adapt to the pressures of Mach 6, enabling them to unlock the full potential of the 4th-generation fighter. However, when they found themselves in 5th-generation aircraft, experiencing an entirely different realm from the 4th, a profound silence enveloped them. Wang Jiang had witnessed this scenario before. A top domestic pilot he knew emerged from a 5th-generation fighter, remained silent for a long time, and lit a cigarette. When Wang Jiang inquired about his thoughts, the pilot merely exhaled a plume of smoke and said, "I am elated for my country, yet I feel sorrow for myself." Indeed, during the 5th-generation era, even the top pilots could not fully harness the capabilities of the fighter. Now, the advent of AI illuminated Wang Jiang's mind. If AI could pilot the aircraft, with human pilots assisting the AI modules, then regardless of whether it were a 7th or 8th-generation fighter, its performance could be fully unleashed. In that moment, it would undoubtedly become a formidable aerial beast. Everything is connecting. It all makes sense, Wang Jiang murmured to himself. All the thoughts swirling in his mind coalesced following Li Yong's articulation of those 6 terms. They had not neglected the concept of a space fighter. However, the maintenance of such fighters had always posed the greatest challenge. Now, the introduction of the Intelligent Connected Space Station seemed to clear a blockage that had persisted for years. Wang Jiang abruptly stood up, turning to Li Yong, "Old Li, who proposed these concepts?" In the conference room, the assembled research elites gradually rose, their expressions varied. Each of these 6 terms, in isolation, represented commonplace concepts. Yet, when combined, they resembled a completed puzzle that unlocked their train of thought. AI piloting. This is indeed feasible. All that is required is to establish a local AI server aboard the aircraft, utilizing military-grade lightweight graphics cards, totaling around 50 tons. The aircraft's weight will reach 50 tons, but if it operates in space, that additional weight poses no issue. The Intelligent Connected Space Station is undoubtedly the piece de resistance. We have been pondering how to maintain space fighters, and now we can seamlessly connect the aircraft with the space station, allowing specialized maintenance personnel to conduct care for the aircraft. In space, where gravity is absent, the aircraft could incorporate an internal gravity system, enabling rapid 30-degree sharp turns by counteracting cloud dynamics during maneuvers, significantly enhancing agility in space. Who conceived this? Was it Wang Hongzhe from Harbin Institute of Technology? It might not be from Harbin. It could be a research team from Beihang University, as they are also experts in this field. Perhaps it originates from the team at the Kyoto Military Academy. Amidst the discussions, Wang Jiang abruptly rose, directing his gaze at Li Yong. "Old Li, who divulged all of this to you?" The room fell silent, all eyes turning toward Li Yong. Caught off guard, Li Yong stammered, well. Indeed, Wang Jiang, incensed, exclaimed, "What are you holding back for at such a critical moment? Old Li, everyone has finally glimpsed the dawn. Please do not keep us in suspense." The others echoed in agreement. Exactly. After a week of meetings, every individual harbored a sense of urgency. Did they not desire to create a 7th-generation fighter? If anyone truly lacked that desire, would they have spent a week alongside Li Yong in meetings? It is worth noting that for this project, they had all temporarily set aside their own endeavors. Li Yong hesitated for a moment. If I were to say that this was conveyed to me by my nephew, would you believe it? The atmosphere in the room fell into an abrupt silence. Chapter 3. The College Entrance Examination. Chinese composition, designing the 7th-generation fighter jet? Your nephew? Wang Jiang pondered for a moment, suddenly enlightened. Is it Su Zhihui from the Jingdao Military Research Group? He's only in his early 30s, yet so remarkable? Li Yong shook his head. Su Zhihui is my elder sister's child. She is my niece. The nephew I referred to is my younger sister's son. Younger sister's child? Wang Jiang mused. Are you talking about Zhao Lin from the military laboratory in Magic City? Li Yong scratched his head. No, he's not my second sister's child. He is my youngest nephew, named Pei Su, who just turned 18 on July 6th. The group fell silent for a moment. Wang Jiang, still processing, nodded in agreement. A birthday in July? What a coincidence. Mine is the same, Cancer sign, lunar or solar calendar. It was only after he had asked that he realized the implication. Stunned for a few seconds, Wang Jiang stared at Li Yong. Are you suggesting that the 6 terms were provided by a high school student still in school? Li Yong nodded. Wang Jiang continued. You mean to say that an 18-year-old child informed you of the terms multifunctional, space warfare, intelligent connected space station, 30-degree acute turn, next-generation AI big data, and automatic and non-automatic stealth systems. 6 terms that complement each other? Li Yong corrected him. He just turned 18. Currently, he is 17. Wang Jiang pressed on. What the hell? He no longer wished to inquire further. Looking at Li Yong and exclaiming, Old Li, don't jest with me. Your family's genes are commendable. Several of your nephews have achieved great success. Yet that does not justify such nonsense. An 18-year-old nephew? You're telling me he came up with these 6 terms? Nonsense. It's absurd. Any one of these terms could be articulated by a high school student, but for all 6 to be mentioned in conjunction is improbable. These terms are synergistic, and anyone truly engaged in the field would immediately recognize their intrinsic value. Take intelligent connected space station and space warfare for instance. The greatest challenge for aerospace fighters is the difficulty of conducting repairs and maintenance mid-mission. The Intelligent Connected Space Station brilliantly addresses this issue by dispatching personnel for regular inspections during missions. One term provides a specific direction, while another offers a solution. These words are certainly not the musings of a high school student. Wang Jiang's countenance reflected disbelief. Yet as he observed the expression on Li Yong's face, gradually, he gaped in astonishment. Old Li, you're not joking, are you? This is truly what your high school nephew said. Wang Jiang recognized that Li Yong's demeanor did not suggest deceit. Although he enjoyed jesting, he never did so in a professional setting, especially since their line of work demanded utmost precision. After receiving a firm nod from Li Yong, Wang Jiang slumped into his chair. In this world, a high school student's words resolved a problem that had eluded them for an entire week. Is this not an affront? An indignity? However, Wang Jiang soon furrowed his brow. Multifunctional space warfare, intelligent connected space station. He felt that there was something amiss among these 6 terms. They seemed overly profound. He hesitantly inquired. Old Li, do you not feel that these 6 terms, when combined, seem to exceed the definition of a 7th-generation fighter jet? Li Yong concurred. I sense that too. But I couldn't discern the issue, which is why I brought it to your attention. Perhaps you can help me identify what the problem is. Upon hearing this, Wang Jiang fell into silence. At that moment, an elderly voice emerged from outside the conference room. The issue lies in the fact that this combination of 6 terms is too advanced. It hardly resembles the concept of a 7th-generation fighter jet. Rather, it aligns more closely with that of an 8th-generation fighter jet. The conference room door swung open, revealing an elderly gentleman clad in a Zhongshan suit. Old Qin. The group quickly rose, including Li Yong and Wang Jiang, both esteemed academicians. Please, take your seats, Old Qin commanded, exuding an extraordinary presence. His face, etched with countless lines, bore the wisdom accumulated through years of exposure to the elements. He took Li Yong's seat, while Li Yong stood beside him. Old Qin quietly remarked. The flaw in this theory is its excessive maturity. Li Yong, it seems your young nephew has elevated our expectations too high. In my view, this transcends the concept of a 7th-generation fighter jet and ventures into that of an 8th-generation fighter jet. Many of the terms Pei Su mentioned have yet to be explored in the field of aviation. For instance, an integrated gravity system, a mature framework for aerospace fighters, intelligent interaction with space stations, and incorporating intelligent AI modules that play a crucial role during most piloting. Moreover, the local server for AI necessitates at least 50 tons of load-bearing capacity, posing a significant challenge for how this evidently overweight aircraft could take flight. These are all concepts that require experimentation and time for validation. Clearly, a 7th-generation fighter jet cannot feasibly implement such technologies. Thus, these notions are somewhat too advanced, resembling the concept of an 8th-generation fighter jet. 8th-generation fighter jet? Upon hearing this, Wang Jiang felt his breath quicken. Quick, Old Li, where's your nephew? Hurry and bring him over so we can have a discussion. How can a high school student conceive the concept of an 8th-generation fighter jet, while we have spent an entire week merely deliberating on the 7th-generation fighter jet? This cannot imply a lack of intelligence on our part. Rather, it suggests that the boy is a prodigy, a natural talent for scientific research. Li Yong hesitated. But he is currently preparing for the college entrance examination. The college entrance examination? The group turned their heads in surprise. Even Old Qin was momentarily taken aback. Your nephew has just participated in the college entrance examination? Li Yong nodded. Suddenly, Old Qin clapped his hands and erupted into laughter. Wonderful. Marvelous. He rose, beaming with joy. The others were taken aback. It had been a long time since they had seen such a radiant smile from Old Qin. This elder had once been both Li Yong's and Wang Zhang's mentor, as well as that of many academicians, a pioneer who had returned from studying in the United States. Now 94 years old, he had reached a venerable age. Fortunately, old Qin had maintained his health well, having practiced internal martial arts in his youth, allowing him to remain quite spry even at 94. Yet why did old Qin express such sentiments? With a beaming smile, he turned to Li Yong. Your nephew must have taken the college entrance examination locally in Kyoto, correct? Li Yong, still puzzled, nodded. Yes, old Qin. Then that explains it. Old Qin laughed heartily. You may not be aware, but this year's Chinese composition topic for the Kyoto College entrance examination differs from previous years. This year's essay prompt is, if you were to design a 7th-generation fighter jet, how would you go about it? At this, old Qin chuckled again. We need not disturb that child during his examination. Once he completes it, we can go directly to assess the results. The group exchanged glances, astonished. Isn't this a bit frivolous? The elderly gentleman shrugged. Besides, it's not a national exam. It's merely the Kyoto exam. Meanwhile, in the examination room, Pei Su stared at the essay prompt, lost in contemplation. If you were to design a 7th-generation fighter jet, what would it be like? What kind of essay prompt is this? Is the parallel universe so abstract? Just then, Pei Su heard a melodious voice. The most powerful technological revolution of our time has given birth to the concept of the 7th-generation aircraft, leading individuals to begin designing its technology. The blueprints and intricate parameters of the 8th-generation aircraft have been acquired. In an instant, an influx of knowledge surged through Pei Su's mind, instilling him with newfound confidence. His current achievements were insufficient for admission into the prestigious universities. Only a remarkable strategy could yield high scores on the language examination. Thus, he resolutely penned the first theme. The 1st generation is issued, the 2nd generation concealed, and the 3rd generation researched. In my humble opinion, the study of the 8th-generation aircraft far surpasses that of the 7th. Chapter 4. The birth of the Muse. My understanding of the 8th-generation aircraft can be encapsulated in 2 pivotal points. First, the 8th-generation aircraft can emerge in the absence of advancements in material science, primarily due to artificial intelligence. The disparity between AI and human capability is vast, and I maintain a pessimistic perspective on this matter. The total time it takes for the human body to process information, transmit neural signals, and respond is approximately 0.2 to 0.5 seconds. Pilots, through various methods of training, develop muscle memory that allows them to approach the limits of human capacity in aircraft control. Yet they too are bound by this 0.2 second threshold. Conversely, AI can effortlessly execute 100 operations within that same time frame. Second, the common understanding of the 8th-generation aircraft is largely misguided. Since the advent of the 4th generation, speculation has suggested that the 5th generation would evolve towards stealth, the 6th towards low-altitude flight, the 7th towards mid-altitude, and the 8th would become a true space combat aircraft. However, there is no essential connection between space combat aircraft and the 8th generation. The 5th generation also possesses the capability to operate under the conditions of spaceflight for short durations. The distinction of the 8th generation lies in its conceptual superiority over the 5th. It must be adaptable for warfare in space, capable of dominating the cosmos just as it dominates the skies. To achieve this, it must facilitate aircraft maintenance in space. Thus, we arrive at the first theme of our understanding of the 8th generation aircraft, the Intelligent Linked Space Station. An outpouring of words flowed from Pei Su's pen, and he had never felt such exhilaration before. Crafting an 800-word essay seemed less daunting than anticipated. Thoughts cascaded through his mind without pause, an unceasing torrent of inspiration. Below, he outlined the design and parameters of the 8th generation aircraft. At the conclusion of his essay, Pei Su succinctly noted the basic specifications of this generation of aircraft. The parameters could be described as an enlarged version of the 5th generation model, necessitating the integration of at least 5,000 top-tier graphics cards to establish the AI server. Consequently, this aircraft would be far more massive than most could envision, with a length exceeding 35 meters, a wingspan surpassing 20 meters, a height around 6 meters, and a maximum takeoff weight of 150 tons. Gradually, a fixation began to take root in Pei Su's mind. The clock ticked steadily, its crisp sound seemingly reminding him that time was of the essence. In truth, Pei Su had deliberately omitted certain details regarding the aircraft's parameters. Yet even this partial information consumed an inordinate amount of his time. He had merely half an hour remaining, gazing at the essay that filled the page. Alongside the pristine language questions, a singular obsession burgeoned in his thoughts. Much like an artist yearning to complete a masterpiece, Pei Su vividly recalled his initial aim, to achieve a high score. Therefore, his most pressing task should have been to tackle the language questions. However, unbeknownst to him, the pen in his hand had sketched a large outline on the draft paper, a silhouette of an aircraft, an unprofessional illustration of the 8th generation aircraft. It seemed as though some unearthly force compelled Pei Su. The world around him quieted, leaving only the faint sound of the pen gliding across the page. Soon, the answer sheet remained untouched, while the draft paper bore the sketch of his creation. while it could not be deemed beautiful, lacking any semblance of aesthetic appeal. This was indeed his hand-drawn schematic for the 8th generation aircraft, complete with parameters such as length, width, height,